Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Excellency, the judges of this competition, ladies and gentlemen for the nation and religion. Firstly, let's enter our God, the Almighty, who has been giving us His mercy, His help, and His blessing until we can gather here without any trouble and any obstacle. Secondly, may salawat and salam to our Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, who has brought us from the darkness to the lightness, namely the Islam religion. Ladies and gentlemen, my loving audience, have you ever imagined what it was like to live during the time of colonization, when the sky of Indonesia was filled with the smoke of wars, when people are forced to work under the whip of the invaders, and when the cries of children become the songs of sorrow in their own homeland? For hundreds of years, our nation lived in suffering. Our land was taken, our resources were stolen, and our dignity was trampled without mercy. But behind all that pain, the fires of spirit never went out. People rose, fought, and united from Sabang to Merauke, shouting one sacred word that could never be replaced: freedom. But ladies and gentlemen, did the struggle stop there? Of course not. That was only the beginning. The real struggle began after the independence. The struggle to protect and give meaning to that freedom. That's why, ladies and gentlemen, on this special occasion, allow me to deliver a crucial topic entitled Guarding Indonesia's Independence Toward a Civilized Nation. Ladies and gentlemen, as the light of the nation, independence is not the end of our fight. It is the start of a long journey to create a dignified nation. In the past, our heroes fought against physical colonization. But now we fight against moral, cultural, and mental colonization. Our enemies today don't wear uniforms. They appear as laziness, dishonesty, and the loss of national identity. Look around us. In many places, many young people know foreign culture more than their own. They admire other nations' lifestyles, but they forget about their own manners and tradition. And without realizing it, we are free politically, but still colonized in the way of thinking. My beloved audience, if our heroes once sacrificed their lives for the red and white flag, now our duty today is to sacrifice our comfort for our country's progress. Let's guard this independence so that it truly has meaning. So Indonesia is not only free on paper, but also free in thought, morals, and civilization. Then, how can we do that? First, by strengthening character education. A great nation is not only intelligent, but also moral. School and pesantren should be places where honesty, discipline, responsibility, and love for the nation grow strong. Because knowledge without character will only create smart people who lose direction. Second, by mastering science and technology. In the past, our heroes fought with bamboo spears. But now we fight with pens, knowledge, and innovation. In this modern era, whoever controls knowledge will lead the world. That's why we must study hard, think creatively, and use our skills for our country's progress. And the third, by preserving our culture and noble values. We can be modern, but must not forget our roots. We can follow global trends, but must not forget our manners and togetherness. Our progress must walk hand in hand with our faith and moral values. Ladies and gentlemen, my loving audience, let's look back to our history for a moment. After the proclamation of independence, the Dutch didn't give up easily. Wars broke out again, blood was shed again, but the people never give up because they knew true independence can never be traded for anything. And that spirit must live in us today, to let the freedom that our heroes defended with blood be destroyed by laziness and carelessness. True independence is not just being free from colonizers, but also being free from ignorance, poverty, and moral decays. A smart and moral nation will be respected by the world, not because of its power, but because of its integrity. And finally, it all starts with us, the young generation of today. If our heroes once lived weapons, now we must live pens and knowledge. If they sacrificed their lives, now we must sacrifice our time and efforts for our country's progress. Don't let their sacrifices go to waste because we are too lazy to act. Rise up, young generation of Indonesia. Show the world that we are worthy heirs to a great nation. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the speech I delivered. Thank you very much for your attention and apologize for all of my mistakes. Remember, guarding Indonesia's independence is not only to keep it standing, but to make it lead the world with knowledge, faith, and character. May the God bless us with peace and unity. Finally, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.